Every episode celebrates original content written by real people who experience real emotions. I'm Rayanne Thorn Krueger. Welcome to Real Words. And this is it, episode number 13 of the ECT series. My guest today is Shayanne Marin. Hey, Shy, thanks for joining us today.
Hello. Thank you. Glad to be
Such
here.
an honor to have you here, and thank you for wanting to be on the podcast to talk a little bit about this upcoming project at the Electric Company Theater, which is the resident theater company at the Muckenthaler Cultural Arts Center in Fullerton, California. This piece that they're going to open on February 10th is called White Rabbit, Red Rabbit. And the construct of the piece is that playwright Nassim Soleimanpour wrote this with the intent that none of the actors that will perform it, and it is a different actor each night, actors are not allowed to perform it more than once, will have never seen the script till just before they go on stage. And so we're here to talk about this project with Shy, and we have with all the other 12 actors and director that are working on this project. So Shy, let's jump right in. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and your history with theater?
Yeah. I moved to Orange County in 2012 to go to UC Irvine. That's where I started my professional theater career, I guess you could say. I got my Bachelor of Fine Arts in musical theater from there. And then from there, I got the opportunity to go to New York and perform there. I came back here and I've done a bunch of local and regional theater. Previously, I was with the Wayward Artist in Santa Ana for a couple of years as a resident artist. And then I found my way to the Electric Company Theater a couple of years ago when they were doing The Drowsy Chaperone. So that was my first show with them, and I absolutely loved them. I just love their mission, and I love the people because I felt like I got seen as a person, as a real person, and that who I was got to be celebrated on stage. So now, this year, I joined them as a board member, which is awesome. And I've done a few shows with them now, so this will be my third production with them.
Oh, great.
And yeah, that's kind of it. I stay local in Orange County. Don't do too much, just enough where my soul gets fulfilled, and then I can take a step back.
Well, that kind of takes me to my next question. So you have, I'm assuming, a paying day job. Can you tell us what you do for
I
your
do,
career?
yes. So I work for a technology manufacturing company out here in Irvine. I do none of that fun stuff. I actually am in charge of payroll and benefits.
Okay.
So I work with the people, and I get to support my employees in their day-to-day with all their benefits. And I actually love it. I love my job. I love my colleagues. So it's a good balance of having a job that gives me my lifestyle.
Yes.
And then getting to go have a creative outlet that fills the soul.
So I would add to that your job is really important to employees. So,
Yes.
well, you don't get to do the fun stuff. And it also adds to an interesting aspect about you. You are right-brained and left-brained if you're doing payroll. So interesting dichotomy there between you, Shy,
Absolutely.
between the ears there. So when you think about this project, and Brian Johnson, the co-artistic director, co-founder of Electric Company Theater, came to you and asked, or maybe you asked, because I have had a couple of actors declare that they were so interested in it, they requested to be a part of the project. So I don't know how that went down. So why don't you tell us how that went down for you?
Yeah. I guess you could say both. So I
Okay.
was at their Light the Night Gala where they announced next year's season, or I guess now this year's season. And I remember White Rabbit, Red Rabbit was the first one they announced. And when he started to explain what the project was, I was so fascinated and so scared of it at the same time. But I was like, I want to be in this project. Like, I remember sitting in the audience thinking, man, I want to be in this project. I hope he asks. Because I am too timid to go and be like, can I be part of it? So then afterwards, we got to chatting and he was like, let's talk more. I'd like for you to be in it if you want to. And lo and behold, here I am. So it was both.
Wonderful.
Like It worked out.
So, how do you feel about it now? Now that we're getting close, Shy will be
Yeah.
performing on February 25th, 7 p.m. at the Muckenthaler Theater or the Muckenthaler Cultural Arts Center with Electric Company Theater. Tell me, how do you feel about it now, the closer that it gets, that we're a month from today, just a month
Yeah.
from today?
I surprisingly, I'm very calm about it and very like I'm excited, but for some reason there's just as of right now, it's very peaceful. When I first started or like when I first committed to the project, I was like, this is scary because I'm also definitely an actor who prepares. Like I want to know every detail before I step foot on stage. I want to have rehearsed it. I want to make sure it's in my bones before I go and perform something. So at first I was terrified, but the more that I've kind of got to sit with it, I'm like, okay, this is probably the most peaceful project I've ever had to do. I'm not stressing about lines. I'm not stressing about, okay, I need to make sure I don't forget anything, which I think is one of the things that I think about the most as an actress is, oh my gosh, I don't want to forget something and then look silly on stage. I guess I feel so at peace because I get to go on stage and just be me and that's it. I don't have to put on a character. I don't have to um I still have to act, but it's me and I get to
Right.
just be in that place rather than having to be like, okay, let me step into this role now and be ready to go on stage. So I just feel very calm and at peace with it.
That's interesting. I wonder if you will feel the same way an hour and a half before a curtain.
I'm pretty sure it'll be different then.
It will probably be different. Well, because right now would be the time that you would be crunching. Right now, a
Yes,
month before,
absolutely.
your script would be in hand. You would, depending on how your memorization process is. I like to
Yeah.
do index cards and carry them with me everywhere. Right, so index cards. I'm pulling them out. I'm driving. I'm saying
Yeah.
it over in my head. I may have a recording of it. So right now, you're not having to think about that.
Yeah.
You know it's coming up, but does not become a daily, it's not a
Yes.
daily bug in your head saying,
Yes.
in order for me to really benefit this show and my fellow actors and my director and not disappoint anybody, I need to be
Yeah.
off book. I need to know my staging. I need to be at rehearsals every night or 3 to 4 nights a week, right? So
Yep.
no rehearsals,
Yeah.
right? It's got to be just a wild thing to think, am I actually going to be stepping foot out on stage totally unprepared?
Yeah.
Do you do you
I,
feel like your years of doing theater have prepared you for this?
ooh, yes. I think so. Especially in more recent years as I've gotten older. Like I know like when I was in college, it was very much like grind, 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 and you have all these expectations and the weight on your shoulders. And as I've gotten older, as a performer, I think my focus shifted to being more how can I just bring my authentic self in this role? Like I'm still being that character, but I don't want to eliminate any part of me authentically. So I've come to just be I don't know how to say it. I guess just be more at peace with like performing. Like I used to be so terrified, even though you'd have a long rehearsal and like I'm confident in my talent, but you'd still get terrified being on stage. And as I've gotten older, it's like I'm happy to be on stage because I know where I am, if that makes sense.
Right.
Um, so I don't know. Yeah, I think so. Like I think everything that I've been through and all the ways that I've shifted as a performer over the years makes me ready to be like, cool, I'm ready to dive into this. This is so different. It's so challenging in its own way because we're not given anything to go off of. And that's more fun. I guess
Right.
there's
Right.
more room for creativity there.
More opportunity for you to self-direct as well. You will get direction
Yeah.
from Brian, I think, right before you go on, but there will be an
Yes.
opportunity for you to interpret as you will, which is going to lend itself to every single performance from these 12 different individual actors
Yeah.
being, I think, completely different and probably will lend itself to different like waves of emotions.
Yeah.
I'm excited to
Absolutely.
hear the response from the director when it's all over, right? When he has been there every night seeing each actor bring something different to it. I can't wait
Yeah.
to talk. And I'm going to try and convince him to come back and talk with me again about this. He still won't
Yeah,
be able
I
to
want to
because
hear that.
the construct of the play is that you know anybody that's involved in this as far as producing it, except for the director, shouldn't know anything about it, right?
Right.
And the lighting, the guys that are lighting, the people who will be lighting
Yes,
you and making sure your sound is good. We want them to know where you're going to be and what you're going to do. So
absolutely.
before we get away, I would love for you to tell me how you feel about interactive or immersive theater. This seems to be one of the points of value for Electric Company Theater. They do theater differently, and I know that you
Yeah.
were in a really phenomenally different production of Sound of Music, where it was a traveling show. You
Yeah.
went from space to space to space at the Muckenthaler Theater, outside, inside, and it was fascinating as a theater goer. I enjoyed it
Yeah.
so much, and it changed the show for me
Yeah.
because you're usually sitting just in one spot, right? And you're like, look, okay, when is intermission? When can I go get a drink, or when can I go, when can I use the ladies' room, or whatever theater goers think that are sitting there for a long piece. But in this show, you actually got exercise, right?
Yeah. Oh,
As
yes. Yes,
as
we
a
did.
as audience members, and certainly as you as the lead performer playing Maria in this totally immersive experience. What was your takeaway from that, and how has theater changed for you?
Yeah. That will always be probably my favorite production I've ever done. Um, Getting to travel and really use all of the space at the Muckenthaler really gave you a different perspective, or it gave me a different perspective as Maria. It's one thing to go out on stage and put on that performance. It's another when it's like living, truly living in that moment, living in the house, being out in the garden. Um, I remember one of my favorite moments was when Maria is has decided to leave. She's decided to leave the captain and the kids, and so she sneaks out at night while they're at their party. And I remember walking out from around the house and getting to stop and take a moment and just look at the Muckenthaler. And I mean, I'm getting chills now thinking about it. But that would not have happened if it were not for the immersiveness of that production. And so those like raw emotions that came out because of the environment were beautiful. And so I've I've always been terrified of any sort of immersive theater, any sort of like me needing to do improv. Um, Again, I'm an actor who prepares, and so that pushed me. And now I feel very excited to get to essentially do that again. Not traveling during White Rabbit, Red
Right.
Rabbit, but really living in
With
that
the
and
audience,
whatever
yeah.
happens. Yeah, absolutely. It
And
could
with
come
the
from the
audience,
audience.
they're going to be
Yeah.
going on this ride with you. And I'll tell you, because I saw that production and I was
Yay.
blown away by it. And one of my favorite moments, that one that sticks with me, because it sticks with me from the movie, is that
Yes.
sweeping opening scene, right? We are
Yeah.
greeted by
Yeah.
nuns, and we're taken out into the backside of the Muckenthaler on their beautiful grounds, and the music swells and the lights come up, and there's Maria doing her thing. She's sweeping and singing this iconic song that everybody knows,
Yeah.
whether you've seen the show or seen the film or not. You know this song, right? And it is this thing that grounds us as an audience member. And it feels like there's no grounding for White Rabbit, Red Rabbit,
Mhm.
except
Mhm.
except the actor that we know and love, right?
Yeah.
With that, I want to put up a banner here. So if anybody wants to go get tickets, please go to electriccompanytheater.org and find Cheyenne's performance, which is February 25th, 7 p.m. Cheyenne, any last words?
Um, Thank you. Thank you for putting all of this together and allowing us to spend a little time to talk about it. I'm super excited. I hope for any listeners that you'll come and join me for my night, and we'll get to experience it together. So, yeah.
I have a question. Are you going to go back and see any other actors after you perform? Because you will have a couple of opportunities to do that.
Yes, that is the plan because I want
Okay.
to see how different it was and how it was interpreted by somebody else. That was
Right.
fascinating to me. I know at first I was like, okay, let me go towards the end of the run. And now I'm like, dang it, I should have gone to the beginning so I could see
Right.
everybody.
So I could come
But
and
at
see everyone
least I have
else.
a few more opportunities. Yes. Yes.
Well, Shai, thank you so much for joining me today. It's such a pleasure to have this opportunity to sit down and chat with you and to get to know you a little bit. I look forward to seeing you on stage
Thank
in
you.
Electric Company Theater's production of White Rabbit, Red Rabbit, written by an Iranian playwright, Nassim Soleimanpour, directed by Brian Johnson of the Electric Company Theater. Thanks so much.
Thank you.